You know it's going badly in Oakland when the mayor is in hiding.
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, A's fans, and welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about your Oakland A's all during their final year in Oakland. My name is Paul Francis Sullivan. Please, I'm begging you, call me Sully. I've been a baseball podcaster for well over a decade now, and this is my sixth full season here as a host on the Locked On Podcast Network. And I'm normally right there, see right there, and if you're watching on the video, I am the host of Locked On MLB, but I'm also the host of Locked On A's, and those are two different shows. Someone actually did ask me, wait, you post the Locked On MLB show on Locked On A's, or is it vice versa? Nope. With a few exceptions, you get a brand new show every day for 5 days a week on Locked On MLB and Locked On A's. Every once in a while, I will say, hey, I said something on Locked On A's that I think is relevant to this show and vice versa, but that is the exception, not the rule. Follow us at Locked On Locked On A's. Oh, I got mixed up myself. What the hell show am I doing? Let me check the shirts behind me. I'm doing A's right now. Follow us at Locked On A's on Twitter or whatever it's called now. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter and Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. And if you're listening to us every day and you want to post something on social media, make sure to use that hashtag EverydayA's. It lets us know who has been listening to us and why. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase Locked On MLB for a first deposit match up to $100. So yeah, I am doing this one a little later than I normally do, but I was a little pooped. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit. I was a little pooped yesterday. I did Locked On MLB. I took one look at what happened in the A's game. I said, am I going to really stay up late to talk about the same old crap? Or am I going to get a good night's sleep? And I said, I'll do this one tomorrow. And I promise you will get 5 new episodes this week. But I mean, how many times you just say the same thing over and over again with this team? They rely too much on the home run. They let up too many big innings. And they waste some decent performances. I mean, there was you take a look at the game yesterday. Luis Medina did not have a good game. He pitched 3 innings. He let up a home run. He let up 3 earned runs in 3 innings. That's not good. He had also an unearned run. He struck out 4. He walked 2. I mean, it was not a good outing. And out came Aaron Brooks. Remember Aaron Brooks? I was actually like, oh, my God, I forgot he was picking up a paycheck. And he came out and he threw 5 innings and allowed only 1 run. Aaron Brooks kept the damn A's in the game. And the A's were playing the Angels. The Angels stink. The Angels stink with a capital stink. And when Brooks came out and gives you 5 innings out of the bullpen, allowing 1 run, and the A's can't rally against Cy Young contender Griffin Canning, who even with his 7 innings and 1 run performance, that dropped his ERA to 4.72. Koufax-like. Ben Joyce came in. His ERA has an area code on it. Allows 2 base runners. They can't get the big hit. They can't get the big hit off of Ben freaking Joyce. And that's when I just threw my hands in the air because look, Canning is a talented pitcher, but let's not act like he's the second coming of Grover Cleveland Alexander. And the A's, Butler strikes out, Diaz grounds out, but then Bleday singles, Andujar singles, and Andujar gets a walk. Rooker comes up where one swing of his bat could make a 5-1 game a 5-4 game. And one swing of his bat was strike three. Boom. A wonderful performance by Aaron Brooks was completely just hosed. And the A's barely on a whimper that never got a walk. But at that point, it was like, this is just, I'm looking at it, go like, if you can't rally against the Angels, then what are we even doing here? Hans Kraus, a player that I cannot believe was not at one point played by Alan Rickman, made his fourth appearance. He went into yesterday's game with 3 fewer appearances than me in the major leagues. And it was his second appearance since 2021. This is not a seasoned vet who was coming in. He was as inexperienced as 90% of the A's players, and he came out, and you would have thought he was Raleigh Fingers in his prime. They're relying too much on the home run ball. They're relying too much on it right now. They got the one run. It was 2-1 in the second inning. Solo home run. Anyone on base, God forbid you homer then. I'm not saying don't hit solo home runs, but every once in a while hit one when someone's on base. They can't rally. They can't get the big hit. What happened to get on base and all the money ball crap? What happened to just anything that resembles disciplined plate appearances? A rally. That's what's so frustrating about this. We all had dreams. Look, when they're at 500 on May 4th. Yeah, our appetite, our eyes were bigger than our appetite. Okay, well, what if we win the division? Pump the brakes. But there's not a lot about this Angels team that's better than this A's team right now. In some ways, they're eerily similar. In some ways, they're teams that are kind of lost in the woods. The Angels lost a generational player, and there are other generational players on the injured list right now. And you go up and down their lineup, and Luis Rengifo is having a good year. That's pretty much it. Logan O'Hoppe is a decent catcher, fine. But who on this team is going to strike fear in the hearts of men? And then you have Tyler Anderson, who is probably going to be traded before you can say Jiminy Cricket, because he's having a very good year, but he's almost 35. And then Sandoval's hurt. Soriano's hurt. Reed Detmer's hurt. Their bullpen stinks. Their bullpen stinks with a capital stinks. And they're a team that's absolutely floating in the woods right now with 0% chance of making it to the postseason. This is the type of team that the A's should beat. This team stinks too. They should win against teams like this. This team is only 4 games ahead of the A's. And you would never know it. You would think it was 2002 all over again if you watched this team yesterday. Jumping ahead early, shutting down the team. Remember the Angels had that great bullpen when they won the World Series in 2002, the year the A's should have won if only they could beat the lowly Twins in the division series. I digress. I'm frustrated because I wanted to see the A's win a couple of games. These podcasts are more fun when they win. And when you look up and you see pitchers who stink, are mediocre, or who are barely major leaguers, who are nearly tied with your pal Sully in appearances, hold the A's to a solo shot. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. That gets me mad. And it also makes me wonder, what the heck is going to happen? I know they're not going to win the division, and I know that they're leaving, but there's still nearly half the season left to play. And some things have to happen because this will not stand. All right, let's hear a little bit from our friends over at Tax Network USA. Let me tell you something. We here at Locked On A's, oh, where's my lower third on that? We here at Locked On A's pride ourselves in talking about the A's all year long, giving you all the best information, all the best news, and everything regarding the A's, whether it's the bizarre possible move to Sacramento, to players coming up, to seeing how they're doing. And we cover them all year long. But you know what else is all year long? Collection season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after for your unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. Listen, I've worked for a lot of different media companies and production companies. Sometimes they pay you in cash. Sometimes they pay you with a personal check. A lot of times the taxes are not taken out of it. And if I didn't have people like the good folks at Tax Network USA working with me, I could get absolutely hosed on April 15th with all the taxes that I owe. They have over 14 years experience and an A-plus rating by the Better Business Bureau. Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters like I've had with all those 1099s, or finally hit that parlay this season and need to help correctly file it, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon and see the link in this episode and the description alone. Now, Tax Network USA, have them work for you. Hey, let's listen to our friends over at supplyhouse.com. Order supplies from the website that's made for skilled trades. Find thousands of parts from hundreds of brands in just a couple of clicks at supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com gives you 24/7 access to a huge selection of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with fast deliveries everywhere in the United States. Need help with an order? Get industry-leading after-sales service from their friendly and knowledgeable customer support team and talk to a real person every time. And there's great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors. Being a pro has its perks. Trade industry professionals can join their free Trade Master program for free shipping and serious discount on every order. Over 100,000 pros already trust the Trade Master program to deliver results. Apply for your membership today and get a competitive edge on every order at supplyhouse.com/TM. Save money and time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Really good. Hey, where do you turn for all the best sports news out there? Let me tell you something. You got to make a switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest sports stories. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channel app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Yeah, we're doing it live today. Who's in the comments section? We have, hey, Carlos Vargas is there. He's an everyday A's listener. How you doing, Carlos Vargas? Rough day yesterday. Hey, Carlos, do you think you can get in the lineup? At this point, why not just call everyone up? I mean, the team's going to go. Why not just call it? And they're going to trade away Rooker. They're going to trade away Andujar. They're probably going to trade away Mason Miller. They're probably going to trade away J.P. Sears. And I understand why. Because if you can get a decent young player for all four of those names, then guess what? You could, give the folks in Sacramento a nice summer. But it's ridiculous. I mean, just if there's anyone in the farm, bring them up. Max Muncy, bring them up. I mean, how is it, as Carlos Vargas says, I can't do worse. Can't do worse. Carlos Vargas has wanted to play third base, by the way. We'll see. We'll pencil in. I'm not one of these people who likes to, propose trades or act like I know the farm system. But the A's have a player who's a third-round draft pick a few years ago from Mercer University in Georgia. His name is Colby Thomas. Colby Thomas was, I said, he was drafted out of college, and he hit very well in single A Stockton. Then he was promoted to Lansing, hit well there. He started this year at Midland, where he hit a ton of home runs and it just looked solid with a 908 OPS. So he got promoted to Las Vegas and has been hitting the tar out of the ball for the first 6 games. He's an outfielder who can hit. Why not? Why not just say, hey, let's give him a shot. Let's put him out there, especially because Miguel, it doesn't make sense not to trade Miguel Andujar. Okay? We all know he's going to be dealt. We all know there's a bunch of teams out there who could use a hitter. And anyone you get for someone you just picked up on waivers is a bonus. And they need to flood their farm system so the good folks in Sacramento could have a nice. That's, again, why all this sucks. It sucks with a capital sucks because whatever you're building towards is just going to another city. I mean, I actually, I know I've said this a bunch of times, but I actually do believe that they're going to stay in Sacramento. I do believe that the good folks in Las Vegas are going to take a look at this and go, we don't have to do business with these people, right? But I will say, I'm not one of these people. So you got to, both sides are equal. Both sides are equally wrong. But man, not a good look today or the last couple of days for Oakland Mayor Sheng Thao, who just was the FBI raided her house and her spokesman resigned, and she's facing a recall vote. Bad optics that the FBI is raiding your house. You're about to lose your last major sports team, and your staff is resigning around you. The mayor, if I were her, and I'm not, I would resign right now and find a nice place in Sacramento for a couple of years before moving to Las Vegas. I know she was handed a big sack of dead fish from the A's when they were negotiating in bad faith. And I supported her as best I could. I don't know her, and who knows what motivations of politicians have. And the fact that the FBI just raided her home, the FBI doesn't play. The FBI, when they raid a home, it's not because they have a hunch. Okay, I know enough. I've met enough people over the years who work in the FBI, knowing that they don't F around. And so when they raid, I'm not saying she's guilty, but it's a bad look in a recall election year to have your home raided and have the A's leave. I don't know. Maybe it was the Fishers who planted stuff in her home. I don't know the answer to that, but it's bad, not fun times for the good folks of Oakland right now. But I always wonder if they start trading away everyone, and they're going to have to, because they have valuable trade chips, and this could help their farm system. You got to give some discounts. I mean, if you're going to be having the final games in Oakland where you have a AAA, it will be a AAA team up there. It's barely a major league team now. And the few major league quality players on the team have big for sale signs hanging around their neck. At some point, you got to say, you know what? Kids free, half ticket prices. At some point, you must want to have someone in the stands, unless the Fishers are just like, hey, it behooves them to have nobody in the stands. I hate the Fishers with a passion. Some people accuse me of being pro-Fisher, that I'm a shill for them. Let me say this clearly and look into the camera when I say this. I hate the Fishers with a passion, what they've done. Yes, they were not handed the best hand, but do you know what? You can do stuff about it. Look at the Padres. I'm sorry, but look at the Padres. Sally, the Padres haven't won anything. Shut up. You're missing the point. Padres play in a small market. They have. The Padres play where you got LA and Orange County with the Angels right above them. You got a desert to the east. you have the Mexican border to the south, and you have the ocean to the west. That's where they're boxed in terms of their media market and everything like that. And what happened? They are the only game in town, which the A's would have been the only game in town. They won't be the only game in town in Sacramento or in Las Vegas. And what did they do? They got a great downtown stadium, one of the best. And the owner, may rest in peace, invested money in the team so fans could root for them. I know they haven't won a pennant yet. They only won one NLCS game recently. But have you noticed that they're selling out the place? Because the fans know, hey, we're going to see a quality product, even if they don't win the World Series. They're probably not going to win the World Series this year. But there's a reason to go to the games. There's good players on the field. And they're at least trying, and the ownership is trying, and it's a great ballpark and a great experience. So they're the only team in town. That's what the A's could be. If someone just ponied up the dough to build a damn stadium. Oh, but we have to go to Vegas, where no one's ponied up the dough to build a damn stadium. That could, and they won't be the only game in town, and everyone's already suspicious of the Fishers. Suspicious of the Fishers. Suspicious of the Fishers. Say that 10 times fast. I think that's going to be the next Knives Out movie. So, look, the A's are a team without a home and pretty soon, and they're going to actually end their season on the road in Seattle, where they'll be absolutely, they won't be the Oakland A's anymore. They won't be, who will they be? And do you know what? The odd thing and kind of sad thing is the A's playing without an identity of a city. This is going to be the third time in their history where that's happened. Hey, do you know what Prize Picks is? You should know that if you watch this show, because we bring it up a lot. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. And Prize Picks is the best way to get in on all the action of your fantasy sports. And it's the easiest and most exciting way to do it, because unlike the other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you have to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community. Prize Picks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including right here in California, Texas, and Georgia. And you can win 100 times your money on Prize Picks with little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. So Michael Tolia of the Colorado Rockies, they say he's going to be above 0.5 total bases. So there's your prize pick there. And let's go over to the WNBA. Breanna Stewart, they say fewer than 20 points. The New York Liberty taking on Minnesota. There you go. And there you go. And by the way, the NBA Finals is over, but you can still bet on the WNBA with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names alongside people like Breanna Stewart, who I just mentioned. You can win up to 100 times your cash watching them ball. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's Prize Picks, folks. You know it. It is that easy. Oh, dear. All right. Slight technical difficulties here. This is a reminder that Locked On has created the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Do what it is. It's called Locked On Sports Today, and it's available on YouTube, and it's on the Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channel app. Locked On Sports is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local extras of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channel app. Yeah, this, by the way, I'm sorry. I was having a little bit of technical difficulties here, so sorry about that little mess up there. Maybe you didn't notice. Maybe you didn't notice at all. This is the third time the A's have moved or will move. They're not playing in Oakland, so we know they're going to move somewhere. They moved from Philadelphia to Kansas City because the Mack family wouldn't give up their power, and the most successful and beloved baseball team in Philadelphia left, leaving the city to the Phillies. And in Kansas City was, look, there's been so many horrible ownership situations with the A's. It's really astonishing. And what happened in Kansas City, I've talked about before, I'll talk about it again, is one of the greatest examples of collusion, and I think scandalous, was so horrific, the ownership for the Kansas City A's, and just absolutely torpedoed any chance for Kansas City to field a competitive club. And then Finley took over and just tried to remove the team from the city. The odd thing is, if he stayed with the team he was building, they would have probably had a dynasty in Kansas City, and the A's would still be there. But Finley went around, offered it to everyone, and finally got Oakland. If they were the Dallas A's or the San Diego A's or the Atlanta A's, they'd probably be still playing, and this wouldn't be an issue. But they became the Oakland A's, and we love the Oakland A's, but it was always a strange marriage. And now you have the awful Fishers, who, yes, took not the greatest hand in the world, but they've done absolutely nothing to improve the situation. And with each one of those times, the Philadelphia move, the Kansas City move, and now the Oakland move, their seasons end on the road. So back in 1954, that was the final year of the Philadelphia A's. The final game at what used to be called Shibe Park and was renamed Connie Mack Stadium. Ironically, Connie Mack was the great figure of the A's, but the stubbornness to have him not leave the A's is what cost the A's their position in Philadelphia. 1,500 people showed up to the final Philadelphia A's game. It was a 4-2 loss to the New York Yankees, who actually did not win the pennant that year. They lost the pennant to the Cleveland Indians. But then the A's had to play 6 more games, 3 in Boston and 3 in New York. And they were a 103 loss team. But for 6 games, everyone knew they were leaving. So for 6 games, they were not the Philadelphia A's because they didn't play in Philadelphia. Remember, they're not yet Kansas City. So they were the limbo A's for those 6 games and playing out the string in Boston and in New York. Well, the other time this happened was in 1967. And in 1967, the A's finished their time in Kansas City, and one of the senators of not the Washington Senators, but one of the senators of Missouri famously said that the city of Oakland is going to be the luckiest city since Hiroshima with the arrival of Charlie O'Finley. And that may have been harsh. You may have said too soon, but they didn't say too soon back then. But with that, the A's played their final bunch of games on the road. The final game played in Kansas City was actually a doubleheader. A doubleheader was played, and the final game, Kansas City won. Kansas City won with Catfish Hunter on the mound for the Kansas City A's. They won 4-0 against the Chicago White Sox. 5,000 people showed up. So there you go, A's fans. 1,500 people showed up at Philadelphia. 5,300 people showed up in Kansas City. Let's beat that. I'm going to be there for the final game in Oakland. So let's go and beat that. But the A's finished the season in New York. And the final ever Kansas City A's game was between 2 bad teams, the A's and the Yankees. The Yankees were bad. And the final crowd to ever see a Kansas City A's game was 6,900 people saw Mel Stoudemire beat Catfish Hunter by a score of 4-3. And some of the people who played in that game include Catfish Hunter, Sal Bando, Dave Duncan, Bert Campaneris, Dick Green, Joe Rudy, and Ted Kubiak, who would all go on to win World Series rings. So there you go, folks. You got to beat 7,000, or it's got to be more than 6,000, and we'll have a better final crowd in Oakland than the A's had final crowds in Philadelphia or Kansas City. It's the small victories. All right, so there's a day game. There's a night game tonight and a day game tomorrow. So on Wednesday, I'm going to drop the show where I'm going to cover both of those games, and hopefully we'll be talking about how wonderful it was to see the A's get a victory over the Angels. Talking about the gumless, it's not even toothless, it's a gumless offense that they have with the A's. So bad it caused the mayor to hide. This has been Locked on A's. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.